Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you've sat down, determined to conquer a task of monumental importance, only to find yourself, but after 12 minutes later, completely submerged in a digital rabbit hole, watching a documentary titled The Secret Social Lives of Garden Gnomes? Yes, that's a place I know well. It's a familiar, slightly sticky corner of the internet more often than I care to admit. And if I'm being brutally honest, I've probably spent more time reading articles and Reddit threads about how to be productive than I've spent actually producing anything of value. There's a term for this particular brand of self sabotage. It's a potent cocktail of delusional optimism, shaken vigorously with a chronic, unyielding distraction. And let me tell you, I was the master bartender of my own chaotic demise, shaking that concoction like my life depended on it. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom in a sea of procrastination and half-finished projects. Eventually, you get tired. You get tired of being the punchline to your own joke. You get weary of the constant, low-grade hum of anxiety that comes from knowing you're capable of so much more, yet delivering so little. So I made a decision, a conscious, deliberate, and slightly desperate choice to train my focus with such intensity, such unwavering dedication that to an outsider, it would look less like work and more like some arcane form of witchcraft. I wanted people to watch me, head tilted in confusion, and wonder, is that person casting a spell, or are they just answering emails? Let's get into it. Let's break down how this all went so spectacularly wrong before it started to go right. I hit a wall. And I don't just mean that in a metaphorical sense, although that was certainly true. I literally physically walked face first into a pristine glass door at a local Starbucks because my attention was glued to my phone, trying to answer a text that could have absolutely waited. But the metaphorical wall was just as solid and far more painful. My life had started to feel like one of those forgotten browser tabs you left open days ago, silently playing some distorted, static-filled audio in the background, draining your system's resources while your brain operates at a perpetual 3% battery. I was constantly in motion, a whirlwind of activity, but I wasn't being effective. I was doing a lot, but I was getting nothing done. I was always working on it, but when pressed for results, I had absolutely nothing tangible to show for my efforts. That's when the realization hit me like a ton of unread notifications. I wasn't fundamentally tired. I was fundamentally unfocused. And focus, let's be clear about this, is not some innate personality trait that you're either blessed with at birth or doomed to live without. It's not a gift from the productivity gods. It is a skill, a brutal, messy, often frustrating, uphill skill that you have to train with the same diligence and commitment as a professional athlete training a muscle. And if you neglect to train it, if you let it atrophy, the modern world, with its endless barrage of pings, dings, and algorithmically curated distractions, will absolutely hijack your brain. It will seize control of your attention and turn your once organized mind into a raging garbage fire fueled by cheap dopamine hits and the bitter taste of regret. Let's take a trip down memory lane, back to what I now refer to as the Dark Ages, or more accurately, my I can multitask era. Oh, I thought I was so clever, so efficient. I was the maestro of mediocrity. My typical setup involved a laptop with no fewer than 6 tabs open. My phone buzzing on the desk like a trapped insect. Some generic lo-fi beats pumping through my headphones, all while I attempted to respond to text messages mid-sentence, as if I were the CEO of a high-pressure startup that exclusively sold anxiety and branded stress balls. Here's a spoiler alert for anyone still clinging to this myth. Multitasking is a scam. It's a lie we tell ourselves to feel productive when, in reality, it's just your brain frantically playing a game of cognitive ping pong with itself until you break down and cry. It's the mental equivalent of trying to juggle flaming torches while simultaneously fighting a sword duel. It's not impressive. It's just a recipe for disaster. And what was the grand prize for all this self-inflicted chaos? A delightful trifecta of chronic stress, a sudden and unwelcome bout of adult acne, and an unholy dependency on caffeine that had my heart beating in Morse code. All this while my to-do list continued to grow, stretching out before me like a CVS receipt for a single pack of gum. I once dedicated an entire 3-hour block of my day to meticulously planning how I was going to become a productivity machine. I created a color-coded schedule that would have made a project manager weep with joy. I set alarms and timers for every conceivable task. I printed it out. I even laminated it, for goodness sake. And what did I do after this monumental effort? I took a well-earned break that devolved into watching 8 consecutive episodes of a competitive baking show where grown adults weep over undercooked tarts. It was pure, unadulterated clownery. And for the longest time, I wore that red nose with a sense of misguided pride. Until the day I finally didn't. Something had to give. At some point, I don't recall the exact day or time, but something inside me snapped. It was one of those quiet, soul-crushing moments that arrive without warning. It was 1 a.m., and I was lying in bed, bathed in the cold blue light of my phone screen, mindlessly scrolling through an endless feed of TikTok videos. To complete this portrait of despair, I was eating shredded cheese straight from the bag, like a feral raccoon that had just discovered the wonders of a poorly secured refrigerator. And in that moment of dairy-fueled introspection, a tiny, spicy, and utterly heartbreaking thought pierced through the fog. Is this who I am now? Is this really it? Distracted, perpetually anxious, and full of cheese and regrets. I'm not sure what hit harder in that moment, the crushing weight of existential dread or the lactose. But I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that I could not continue living this way. I was consistently giving the worst, most fragmented version of myself to my biggest and most important goals. And that I realized was nothing short of criminal. So I made a decision. A pact with my future self. I was going to train my focus like it was my full-time job. I would approach it with the discipline of an Olympic athlete, the precision of a sniper, and the quiet, unshakable resolve of a weird monk who just happens to own a MacBook. Now, this is the part of the story where most people would expect me to unveil 5 revolutionary productivity hacks that will instantly change your life. But I'm not going to give you hacks, because hacks are temporary fixes. They're like putting duct tape on a sinking boat. It might hold for a minute, but you're still going down. Instead, I'm going to give you the real stuff. The unsexy, unglamorous, and often tedious stuff that actually works. First, you need to start treating your brain like a toddler who has somehow gotten its hands on a very sharp knife. It possesses an incredible amount of power, but it has absolutely no idea how to wield it responsibly. So you cannot trust it to simply stay focused on its own. You have to be the responsible adult in the room. You must ruthlessly remove temptation. Turn off every single non-essential notification on your phone, your computer, and any other device that vies for your attention. Put your phone in a drawer in another room, as if it's been put in timeout for bad behavior. You have to consciously and deliberately create an environment where distractions cannot survive, let alone thrive. Second, you need to set stupidly small goals. I mean, embarrassingly small. Don't sit down and tell yourself, I'm going to write an entire novel today. That's a recipe for overwhelm and immediate failure. Instead, tell yourself, I'm going to open the document and write one single, terrible sentence. You have to trick your brain. Lure it into the task like you're trying to coax a timid, shiny, object-obsessed raccoon out of the bushes. The secret is that once you start, no matter how small the initial step, you build momentum. And momentum, my friends, is a form of magic. Third, you must protect your energy as if it were Beyoncé attempting to do her weekly shopping at a crowded Target. You do not owe anyone your constant, uninterrupted availability. It is not a requirement of modern life. Turn on the do not disturb function on your devices and leave it on. Get comfortable with saying no to random calls, unexpected requests, and anything that threatens to derail your focus. You are not a human notification center, And it's time you stopped acting like one. Fourth, and this is a big one, you have to stop romanticizing burnout. Being perpetually exhausted is not a personality trait. It is not a badge of honor. You are not a deeper or more committed person because you haven't slept in 3 days. You're just cranky and probably making a lot of mistakes. Rest is not a reward. It is a requirement for high-level performance. And fifth, you must single task as if your life depends on it. Because in a very real way, the quality of your life does. Block out specific, dedicated chunks of time in your calendar for one and only one task. Do that one thing, see it through to completion. And when you're done, celebrate it. I don't care if it's a small victory. Celebrate it like you just invented fire. This positive reinforcement loop is crucial for rewiring your brain to crave completion instead of distraction. Here's a weird little piece of wisdom for you. Most people who think they are lazy are not, in fact, lazy. They are simply overwhelmed. They don't lack motivation. They lack clarity. The human brain is not designed to function in a state of perpetual chaos and ambiguity. Once your brain knows exactly what the hell it's supposed to be doing, it stops panicking and starts working. Clarity is the antidote to overwhelm. Here's another hard truth that took me a while to swallow. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I know, that one stings a little. You can spend all day dreaming about a better future. But if your system for how you approach your work on a random Tuesday at 3 p.m. is a complete mess, then nothing is ever going to change. Your daily habits and routines are the foundation upon which your future is built. Also, your phone is not an inherently evil device. You are just not the one in charge of the relationship. It's time to take back control. Be the one who uses the tool, not the other way around. Be the master, not the servant. And my personal favorite realization, choosing to be focused in a world that is actively trying to distract you is an act of rebellion. It's a powerful way of standing up and saying, I will not allow this chaotic, attention-grabbing world to hijack my mind and steal my potential. And honestly, that's pretty punk as hell. Let's get to the final truth drop. Look, this journey isn't about achieving some state of flawless, robotic perfection. This isn't about transforming into a productivity monk who wakes up at 4 o'clock and to journal by candlelight and dry brush their soul. It's about being real. It's about having the courage to ask yourself, honestly, and without judgment, what would my life actually look like if I just finished the things I started? Just take a moment and imagine that. Imagine the feeling of finishing what you start, of consistently doing what you told yourself you would do. Imagine becoming the version of yourself that you can fundamentally trust. Not because you got lucky, not because some billionaire productivity guru on a podcast said a magic word, but because you trained your damn focus. You built it from the ground up. You earned it through consistent effort. You fought for it every single day, and now you can walk into a room, sit down at your desk, and you just work. And to the outside world, it looks like magic. But you know it's not magic? It's mastery. And that in the end is infinitely more impressive. So go on, train it, fight for it. Make your focus so ruthless, so sharp, so utterly unshakable that people can't help but stare and wonder, wait, what the hell is that person doing? And you can just smile to yourself and say, working. All right, that's the sermon. We're done here. You've heard the gospel according to a reformed distraction addict. You've survived the rants. You've probably laughed, maybe cringed, and definitely judged my cheese eating habits a little. But now the spotlight is on you. So here is your official prescription from Dr. Joe. Step 1, I want you to take your phone and throw it across the room. No, not hard enough to actually break it. We're not trying to start a GoFundMe campaign for a new screen. But throw it with enough force that your brain gets the message. Oh, we're serious today. Step 2, go and chug a large glass of water. Chug it like you've just been rescued from a vast desert of your own bad decisions. You're not just dehydrated. You're crisis thirsty. There's a big difference. Step 3, I want you to do one single thing. One thing that has been rotting on your to-do list like a forgotten banana at the bottom of your backpack. You know, the one I'm talking about. That project you've been avoiding. That difficult email you need to send. That form you were supposed to submit 6 presidential terms ago. I'm not telling you to go into hero mode and finish the whole thing. Just start. Touch it. Acknowledge its existence. Open the damn tab. Because, listen to me, starting is a spell in itself. The moment you start, the demons of distraction that have been screaming in your head suddenly get real quiet. They look around and go, wait a minute, is she moving? Are we actually doing things now? Yes, we are. And when not if, but when your brain inevitably tries to ambush you with a sudden, inexplicable craving to deep clean your entire closet or learn the basics of ancient Mesopotamian for no discernible reason. You need to look that impulse straight in its metaphorical eyeballs and whisper, not today, clown. Say it with your chest. Say it like a warrior with a looming deadline, because this is it. This is your comeback montage. This is that pivotal moment in the movie where the underdog finally stops crying in the locker room and starts doing push-ups, while some dramatic, inspirational music plays in the background. No, there won't be a crowd of people cheering for you. No, no one is going to show up and give you a gold star for your effort. But you will know. You will feel it. That subtle but powerful shift. That quiet, growing confidence. That incredible power that comes from the simple act of showing up for yourself. And if you do that consistently, even for a small amount of time each day, people are going to start looking at you differently. They're going to start looking at you like you've got some kind of secret. They're going to come up to you and say, damn, how do you get so much done? How are you always so locked in? You've changed. What's your trick? And you'll just get to look up from your work, smirk a little, and say, I trained my focus. That's it. No magic spell, no revolutionary app, no fairy dust. Just pure, unadulterated intention and consistency. And a whole lot of not today, clown. So, go be dangerous. Be clear-headed. Be a productivity goblin with a vengeance. Go and focus so hard that it looks like you know a secret that nobody else does. Because, honestly, after today, you kind of do. Catch you next time. Now, go be a wizard nerd, and for the love of all that is holy, don't forget your water.